Thank you very much for giving us time to the Education Watch Pakistan. Definitely your input and you definitely whatever Unicef is doing for a long time in Pakistan for education, definitely it will really help our readers and audience to know exactly what really has been done so far and what are your plans.
And basically I'm a newspaper to join this channel. So we are here for you to want to know the good or the priorities from your side, specific reference to education sector in Pakistan. It is mostly overlooked upon. It is the sector that is most neglected. So your points of view that would really help us in some better dimension of education.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Most welcome to Unicef here, the office of the Pakistan Country Office. Since I came back to Pakistan, I've lived here in the early 90s. I came back in November 2009. We have been working with our team both here in Islamabad as well in the provincial offices, particularly on ensuring in our annual conversations with our partners, and of course it's the government of Pakistan and the provincial education departments who are our main kind of counterparts, but also with implementing partners, civil society, NGOs, to really promote and ensure quality education for all children here in Pakistan, both boys and girls. And as you know, there is a huge crisis. We had, of course, last year challenge of the gigantic floods, and where we again were supporting the provincial education departments in the affected provinces of Punjab, Sindh and Balochistan, and also down to the flood-affected districts, to really ensure a continuation of education, even in times of these disasters. And even it was not only the disasters related to floods, but of course the emergency situation caused by the conflicts in KPK and Fatah, where we are working again to ensure, according to our mandates, a continuing education program for children. Basically, we see many disadvantaged groups in the Pakistan society, and having gone through different analysis, we see that particularly girls are kind of left behind and are among the most disadvantaged groups. We have done studies, out of school children studies, where we then found that particularly girls in rural remote areas are among the most disadvantaged groups, who have no opportunity to benefit of any education or schooling or learning experience. The good news, when we were in our flood response program and in the relief phase, establishing with our partners over 4,700 temporary learning centers, and it was a kind of a basic infrastructure, Shamiana style, in the famous tents, which go back to Mughal era, and many children came to those schools. We had the commitments of the provincial education departments, of the secretaries themselves, when we were working in the early cluster coordination meetings with them. So they provided teachers, and so we provided a lot of educational supplies, including school in the box and training and orientation to those teachers. And we found that many, particular girls, for the first time in their life, went to school, be it in a 10 school, so up to over 30%. Of course, the challenge is to ensure that we retain those children. Now, even when in the early recovery phase, most families affected by floods have returned to their own communities, to their own villages. So there's still a big push is needed of Unicef, the other United agencies, implementing NGO partners, and of course the provincial and district education authorities, to ensure again that the kids, and particularly girls, will continue to have this learning opportunity.
There is a severe paucity of infrastructure in the central Punjab area, and when we talk about the flood affected areas, Muzaffargarh comes into mind. So I have been there for many times, so I saw there are schools which are of one room. So do you not think that there is a need for a proper infrastructure from government side? Because I think alone Unicef or some other NGO cannot do some better to the destiny of the whole nation. So there are the needs for the concrete steps from government side to develop some infrastructure, because there are areas where before flood infrastructure of education was not appropriate.
Absolutely, you're right, and we have been discussing this with our provincial education counterparts and other implementing partners. You know, the issue of missing facilities. Yeah. So again, coming back to what I mentioned, it is not really, there are issues on the demand side, you know, cultural perceptions, you have issues of early marriage, so, you know, which is kind of hindering access of girls to schools. But in general, and I think it's a myth to say that parents are against education.
Absolutely.
It's absolutely not the case in Pakistan. There might be in certain areas, cultural issues and so forth, but we have seen with this floods that yes, the parents were very eager and very happy to see, you know, their kids and also girls, you know, their daughters going to those temporary learning centers. We are in the discussions with the provincial education authorities. We have made it clear that it is not our mandate as UNICEF to build new schools. We have, right from the start, worked on assessments, first the rapid assessments and then followed with, you know, kind of verification, validation. When the areas became accessible, yeah, the water had withdrawn, so to really check the situations. And we have, I think, numbers of over 2,000 schools completely damaged. And we came up with the concept of transitional school structures. And actually I came on Saturday with the Minister of Education from Sindh, you know, to inaugurate in one of the flood affected villages close to Tata, one of those schools. And you can see,
Yes.
this is kind of, you know, a prefab style which has 3 classrooms, and the other one, which was inaugurated in Muzaffar already 2 months ago or so, we saw that once the infrastructure was there, be it transitional, be it in prefab, you know, the parents were sending more kids to school. So our standard package so far is of 3 classrooms, but you can have another block, you know, with another 2 classrooms. So again, upon the request of the provincial education department authorities in Sindh, we said we would like to go for bigger schools. The full-fledged construction of new schools is, as you say, you know, the governments of Pakistan, yeah, kind of responsibility, with again, you know, with big support from, you know, the large donor agencies like World Bank, Asian Development Bank, or USAID, or DFID, etc. But again, coming back to our core commitment to children, even in emergency relief, early recovery, or development phases, what for us is important to ensure a continuation of education, of learning. That's why we came up with the temporary learning centers in the relief phase and now in early recovery with these transitional school structures. But it's very encouraging to see that, you know, when you provide this kind of facilities, that definitely the parents are, you know, having that clamor of we need more kind of facilities.
So, what are your future plans? Like what are your future strategies to sustain these temporary schools? Because in the long run, there is a need of sustainability of such schools, because people would long for new schools, and once there would be a time that you would start pondering over that how we sustain these temporary schools.
Okay, let me again, you know, it's it's important to differentiate between temporary and then transitional. This is transitional school structures, and you know, the durability of those structures are up to 15 years, yeah, and probably even longer, yeah. So in the meantime, you know, there's the government's commitment, and with funding, hopefully, which will be made available by big donors, full-fledged new construction of those completely damaged schools can take place. And then even, you know, these can be used as community learning centers or early childhood education kind of centers. Yeah. Again, the flood disasters and conflicts is not the only emergency.
Yes.
You might have seen reports, for example, for the Pakistan Education Task Force came out in March, end of March, where one of their documents was saying the education situation in Pakistan overall is in a crisis, is an emergency, with more than 7 million primary school age children out of school, yeah, or even up to 24 million from the age of 5, the age bracket from 5 to 16 out of school.